God granted me the serenity. I note, freed of that dark anxiety, the global mass extinction of our overexistence nurtures every day. Calmly, I accept the reality of a hotter, drier, dustier, and dirty world where we all must live. No more do I trouble my mind over CO2 levels to which I must contribute but cannot control. I pursue a Zen-like tranquility, emptying my mind by flipping channels through potentially anxious nights. Unregulated exotic chemicals in our drinking water can no longer disturb my meditative state. I placidly accept the degradation, poisoning, and erosion of our precious soil by industrial agriculture. Loss of habitat does not threaten me as I twitter safe and warm here in my techno burrow. I gaze into that hazy and starless urban night with what I can construe to be a quiet satisfaction. There is a blind equanimity to be found in simply ignoring the poverty and suffering of others. Deep media immersion smothers and deafens any anxiety which might falsely overcome me. In a benignly induced trance, I emptily partake of our grisly and unsustainable food chain. Verily does my true spirit rise above the ever knottier cluster which constitutes our irreversible advance. God granted me the serenity to shut the hell up, bend over, and take all that which I cannot change. I sagely accept that selfish vanity, greed, and insecurity are key traits of modern-day leaders. Endlessly repeating the simple mantra of "You Can't Stop Progress" properly spins my spiritual journey. I quietly condone piling debt on their futures, even as we waste the resources they would need to pay them. I have learned that worry over our huge number of self-inflicted crises is but a false shibboleth. I can rightly get on with the future and leave our guilty past behind in a jumbled, half-forgotten blur. It is with a certain calm that I adapt the insensate gouging of good croplands into cheap strip malls. My health and happiness have been enhanced by letting go of my fuzzy and unrealistic youthful idealism. Trust in the wisdom of His inscrutable way has banished the awful uncertainty which beset me. I am able to drive right on past our decaying infrastructure without even a second thought. A vision of the seas as strip-mined, unregulated dumps can no longer perturb my cauterized emotions. No more must I futilely obsess over our sacred, morbidly bloated, utterly wasteful military budget. I lost fear of bearing personal responsibility for my own uninsured health and scam-complex finances. I simply cast aside the burden of wasted anger over our people's ignorance, illiteracy, and attitude. That I must work until at least 70, but will be laid off for good at 50, no longer fills me with dread. With the sublime detachment granted me by my meds, I disassociate myself from humanity's future. I have made a lasting peace with all the eternal, random, angry, and empty noise we constantly produce. Internalizing the temporal nature of our vast wastefulness allows me to see far without seeing it. Accepting our unique possession of eternal souls has revealed the wisdom of our divine dominion. Now I can embrace my tenured dull manager who remains willfully ignorant and bristles with venality. I can blandly cope with their artificially induced stress over arbitrary deadlines on useless projects. I have been imparted with the ability to disagree in a silence they act upon as my tacit acceptance. It has come as a relief to see how easily I place ever more on that big pile of things I cannot ever change. God has granted me the wisdom to overlook, ignore, compartmentalize, or be far too busy for almost anything I wish.